Welcome to the NAIA's May 2021 National Convention. The NAIA's Office of Student Athlete Experience and Development is happy to present this session focused on character. This session, focused on student athlete character development, will include 4 presentations. The first comes from Paul McNeil and explores community service and community engagement. The second presentation comes from Bill Barr and focuses on a very unique and impactful professional preparation experience for his student athletes. The third comes from James Larson, a deep look at how the athletics department can engage and collaborate with campus partners. Finally, from the national office, Kaylin Kostelic explores the 5 core values of the NAIA and how to incorporate them with a campus association of student athletes.
Greetings from the NAIA. My name is Paul McNeil. I'm the Coordinator of Athletic Department Development here at Mount Vernon Nazarene University, a position which I have held for 4 years. Thank you for taking a few minutes to review and discuss a topic that I have great passion about and what our department does not only for our student athlete, but also for our community. So let's get into it. One of the reasons why I was brought on board and this position was created was due to a lack of footprint in our community, a definite disconnect. We're a small community where a campus population of 1,600 should influence our city. It wasn't. We had 0 paid partnerships, very little activity within our community, and when hired, the president was adamant about attempting to resolve this issue. One of the first things when promoting community service, you must have a community that has faith in your department and believes you to be genuine. You must cultivate a relationship, and according to your past practices, this may be strong within your department, or you may need to start from scratch.
When Paul joined the staff at MVNU, very few people in our community, including myself, were aware of the athletic department at the NAS. We had no idea we could attend games or even come onto campus for that matter. In the 4 years that he has been involved, not only has that changed, but the department has received numerous accolades for community service. They are seen assisting in a variety of projects, including the one here in the historic Woodward Opera House. The athletic department is now seen as a beacon throughout our community.
As a department, one of the biggest questions is the one on the screen. Does your department have an answer for this? Where does your department place its greatest priority? Not lip service, not something placed on paper, a hashtag, or even a banner, but where do you as lenders guide your department? For MVNU, our primary vision is to be Christ-centered, but we truly want it to be this. We facilitate this process through different avenues, but community service, we felt, was one of the true pillars to our success. We have placed emphasis on allowing our communities to see that we are a part of the community. So this all sounds great, but if we are serious, how do we drive this? What is the process? First, we had to go out. We had to meet community members. We had to friend raise instead of fundraise. We did not meet to discuss finance, partnerships, or even in-kind donations, but instead we asked, what can we do for you? We spoke at service organizations. We met with superintendents, Chamber of Commerce members. We began to cultivate. Early on, stolen from a previous position, we used this saying. We felt we needed something, however, that all parties in the community, as well as on campus, could rally around. We developed MVN United, a brand to explain to our student athletes and to our community. We pinned 3 areas to focus on with community service involvement. We wanted to unite across the campus, across community, and across the degree and beyond. On campus, we wanted our students, staff, and faculty to understand that we are servant leaders. We have weekly communications with our TV and radio stations where we highlight our student athletes to introduce our willingness to serve on campus. we have held Green Blue Day, where all our student athletes participate in a campus-wide cleanup, helping our facilities department. We volunteer for the president's wife in decorating our chapel for Christmas festivities. We have recruiting days where our student athletes are not only seen, but also involved in serving and helping for this event. We also have our student athletes assist us during game day experience. All this on campus so we can have a serving heart and our students, faculty, and staff all understand our direction. For us, we want to be in the community. We want to be a leader while still displaying the servant attitude. We adopted an elementary school. Every week, a sports team attends and assists in a variety of activities to help the students as well as staff and even facility department members. We host Special Olympics on our campus, and our student athletes are an integral part of this great organization. We have had camps and clinics free to our community that our student athletes have direct involvement. Bodies in Motion is a program where we have multiple developmental disability organizations attend an 8-week exercise program ran solely by our student athletes. We also have BAM, Bodies and Mind, which is an exercise video series with our student athletes working side by side, the DD community.
Our partnership with MVNU Athletics is something we are very proud of. Our participants look forward to the time they're able to spend with the athletes, as well as the lessons learned in the programs provided through the athletic department.
We participate in the Adopt a Highway program. Our teams rotate times to be a part of this project. We also do Meet the Team nights, where we introduce our teams as well as our sponsors. This year, we will introduce our Community Service Team Award and recognize them during this event. Being part of the community takes effort. As leaders, are you part of any civic organizations to assist your student athletes in the community? Do you bring your department into these organizations as avenues for community service? Being part of the community takes effort. As leaders, are you part of any civic organizations to assist your student athletes in the community? Do you bring your department into these organizations as avenues for community service? As we look beyond their days at MVNU, hopefully our department has laid the groundwork for after graduation. Our student athletes recognize the servant leadership mentality and will also recognize the community service aspect of what has truly made our athletes better citizens through sport. Once again, thank you for your time. My name is Paul McNeil. I'm the Coordinator of Athletic Department Development. Below is my email, as well as my cell phone number. Please feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Baer. I'm the head women's soccer coach at Olivet Nazarene University. I've been coaching at Olivet for the last 22 years. And one of my most meaningful activities I've done with my team during my tenure has been service mission projects to the developing nations around the world. We've used these types of trips about every 3 years, and the trips are life-changing. They provide student athletes with a world perspective, prepare them for servant leadership, and provide excellent team bonding and memories that will last a lifetime. When student athletes from the United States travel to a developing nation, they discover very quickly the limitations and struggles that others have while trying to pursue similar goals and aspirations. Oftentimes, limitations of transportation, quality food, water, and education are huge challenges other athletes in these nations face. The college students also experience different social norms, such as different gender roles and expectations. They experience new language barriers, food, and new ways of religious worship. Team bonding takes part because the group is together sharing all of these differences. Limitations to Wi-Fi and other technologies also heighten this sense of team community. I recommend limiting contact back to home to only like 2 times. One time when they arrive and maybe another time mid-trip or at the end of the trip. Discovering these new places together make memories for a lifetime. The success of your trip will likely be dependent on the quality of your site coordinator and the detail you provide that site coordinator. Make sure you let them know what you want your team to experience. Safety should be of paramount importance. Make sure you travel with a seasoned company, church, or parachurch organization. Your team's health and safety will depend on the site coordinator's understanding of your needs and understanding of the host culture. Also, make sure you double check with the United States State Department to make sure the country you plan to visit is deemed safe. I advise having a full schedule while your team is in country. A good mixture of work, competition, social interactivity with the nationals, and tourism usually makes for a great trip. Make sure to include a daily team time in which your team can get together and digest and discuss what they experience each day. Teaching servant leadership is an invaluable way to help our student athletes grow and begin to think about more than just themselves. It's helpful to take an inventory of your student athletes' gifts before your trip. This way, you can help provide your host site with possible work site options. Here are some possible ideas. Another key to an extraordinary trip is selecting quality competition. It is important that you communicate with your site coordinator what type of competition you want to play, the frequency of competition, and total days of competition. The total days you spend in country usually helps determine the frequency of competition. I advise trips to be around 10 to 14 days depending on how far your flight is. The longer the travel time is, the longer I recommend you stay in country. Try finding ways for your team to spend some quality time with your opponents, if possible. It can be a really rich and rewarding cultural exchange. Sharing a simple meal with the opponents can be a win-win for both teams, especially if prior to the game you offer to cover the other team's expense. These types of experiences can build great networking relationships. Funding. Funding can be the most intimidating part of creating the service project experience. For us, letter writing has been the most common way and easiest method of raising the necessary dollars to have our student athletes have this kind of cross-cultural experience. Our students typically write letters to their friends and family. This method can be difficult, however, if you have lots of international students on your team. Other methods can help as well. I've divided the fundraising process into two categories, team and individual fundraisers. If you do team fundraisers, make sure you log the hours worked for each team member so you can divide up the proceeds equitably. Individual fundraisers like candy sales or whatnot can also be time-consuming if the coach is responsible for distribution of the materials and tracking of the sales. It is very helpful if a team captain or an assistant coach manage these types of activities. These projects also are another way of group and team bonding. Fundraising can be a very positive experience if done correctly. Make sure you let your school's development and accounting office know what you plan to do regarding fundraisers. This provides structure, support, and accountability. If you would like to find out more information about how to provide this type of experience for your student athletes, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Have you ever been part of a truly great team? If so, you know the satisfaction and fulfillment this brings.
We're excited to share with you what we value and how we incorporate collaboration in our athletics department. Martin Luther King Jr. said that we may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Collaboration is a process involving multiple entities working toward a goal that we can't reach alone. Here at Westcliff, we recognize that there must be collaborative efforts to have success. We value and practice three main types of collaboration: student-athlete-centered collaboration, coaching-centered collaboration, and interdepartmental collaboration.
Student athletes are connected through our 5 C's, the core values here at Westcliff University: character, culture, community, commitment, and championships. A few types of student-athlete-centered collaboration that we practice include the founding of the Student-Athlete Advisory Committee, which acts as a bridge between the student-athletes and administration and hosts events for our student-athletes, having team outings, pep rallies, social media challenges, spirit days for each team, and incorporating a Big Brother, Big Sister program for academic success within each of our teams. While we have many events for student-athletes to collaborate with each other and get to know each other, one event we focused on this year during the pandemic for student-athlete collaboration was what we called the 5 weeks of the 5 C's. Each week, we held a virtual seminar on one of the C's on which this department was built. We invited a guest speaker each week to discuss the implications of that value. It was the opportunity for the student-athletes to meet each other, hear from amazing guest speakers, compete in games, earn points for their team, and challenge other teams to bring out that competitive spirit ingrained in our athletes' hearts.
Some key allies in making this 5-week event successful were the athletic administration, coaches to emphasize the importance and great opportunities, and our guest speakers. The cost for this event was minimal since it was all done virtually. However, we did include prizes, promotional materials, thank yous for some guest speakers, and the biggest factor that you need, time. There is potential to really ramp this up and spend much more or scale it back accordingly and not spend anything. One major lesson we learned from this experience was to not use the webinar format for a virtual event. We wanted to be able to see our student athletes and interact with them, and in the webinar format does not allow that in the same capacity that a regular virtual meeting would.
The Harvard Business Review states that a number of skills are crucial to support collaboration: appreciating each other, being able to engage in purposeful conversations, productively and creatively resolving conflicts, and program management. Many types of collaboration and support practices are being used on a basis for our coaches. This allows us to work through different challenges and shape our goals accordingly. Wait a second. Did you also see sardines? In our old office, we often felt like sardines when working in the 600 square foot space with multiple coaches and administrative staff within arm's length of each other. Although we worked in tight quarters, it helped enormously in our overall view on collaboration. Everyone was able to connect, care for each other, and learn from the best practices of other coaches.
As we transitioned online and we were zooming away like the rest of the world, COVID-19 led us to learn how to collaborate virtually. Virtual coaches meetings, virtual athletic department-wide meetings, virtual mentorships, virtual compliance meetings, and virtual coaches seminars, to name a few. In these seminars and sessions, coaches and athletic staff shared knowledge and best practices from their experience to one another about different topics, leadership styles, finding work-life balance, recruiting, mentoring, team captains, social media, and practice plans, all with this visual aids in front of the whole athletic department. By learning and sharing, the Warrior family became closer and more willing to help each other. Coaches took the opportunity to learn different strategies and approaches to become the best versions of themselves. For young coaches, this was an opportunity to guidance from veteran coaches, but we found it also happened the other way around as well.
Key allies to these presentations were the coaches and administrators. As these sessions were held virtually, there was no direct cost to implement into our department's practices. In the future, as we move to meet in person again, providing food at these events will increase the cost. The possibility of bringing in guest speakers may also require a fee. One lesson we learned when implementing these is that when distributing topics, sometimes letting coaches choose their topic rather than it being assigned allows for more passion, buy-in, and enthusiasm from the presenter.
Intercollegiate athletics is a transformative component in the structure of many institutions of higher education. Campuses all over the United States benefit from the inclusion of athletics in different kinds of ways. Academic success is essential to the success of the university and athletics. As the athletic program was in its genesis, we had to learn to improve our coordination and communication with other departments, as these departments learned how to navigate college athletics. We grew through trial and error, overcoming barriers that hinders progress, and misconceptions about student athletes to build a philosophy of better ways to share information and build relationships with their departments within the university.
As students, coaches, and administrators engage in learning how to navigate through admissions, financial aid, academic resource center, the registrar's office, student services, and student accounts, interdepartmental Zoom meetings are a must for collaborative success. These weekly meetings allow an open flow of communication between all departments at Westcliff University. Westcliff University's support for student-athletes' academic success has resulted in a huge collaborative effort between athletics and academics. From the beginning, student-athletes are supported by academics through the Academic Resource Center, or the ARC, the Writing Center, and professors and deans. We all work toward the same goal: success of student-athletes inside and outside of the classroom.
The cost of this collaboration is free. However, the cost of not working with other departments in a professional manner is huge. For coaches and student athletes to be their best, we must build bridges of trust with those key departments. The key allies in this collaboration include the athletic department, admissions, financial aid, student services, student accounts, and the registrar.
Strengthening the organization's capacity for collaboration requires a combination of long-term investments in building relationships and trust, and in developing a culture in which senior leaders are role models of cooperation.
Our FAR, Courtney Hernandez, and our Dean of Athletics, Sean Harris, also have some feedback on those collaborative practices.
I am excited to share with you a little bit about the ways in which interdepartmental centered collaboration has been fostered throughout the university. The Academic Resource Center was actually the division of various departments, including key staff members who recognized the need to provide resources to students and support them in a more holistic manner. Upon joining the Academic Resource Center, I was impressed with the existence of various collaborative efforts that were already in place in working to meet the needs of students so they could be successful in their studies and overall journey in their personal lives. It is the commitment of so many departments and the ongoing collaborative strategies that continue to push us to think deeply about the needs of our students. From weekly meetings between the athletics department, student advisors, and the Academic Resource Center, we are able to come together and discuss the challenges, triumphs, and continued needs of the university and its students. Working with faculty, program chairs, deans, institutional research, student affairs, and athletics has truly provided a more holistic vision of how we might best engage learners, especially during these difficult times. Above all, in working with athletics, and in particular, the undergraduate student advisors, I see these collaborative efforts as infused with authentic acts of care, love, compassion, and a deep commitment to students and their success.
Hello, my name is Sean Harris. I'm the Dean of Athletics here at Westcliff University. Collaboration is very, very important to us in everything that we do. Collaboration allows us to take average to amazing, take broken to booming, take confusion into clarity, and desperation into domination. It's really the bedrock of everything that we do in our culture. It allows us to continue to embrace diversity, inclusion, and equity in athletics.
Thank you for your time. Please feel free to contact us with questions or ideas to implement new collaborative practices on your campus.
The 5 Core Value Pledge and Campus ASA template are 2 integral aspects of our character focus. The NAIA has various character-based resources. We've highlighted 2 of them for you here. On our webpage under Champions of Character, you'll find the NAIA standards and responsibilities. There are various web pages and PDFs linked there that could be helpful for you. One of those is the Student Athlete Pledge. It's a statement of acceptance of the 5 core values that student athletes can sign in acknowledgement of how the 5 core values will interact with their student athlete experience. The Wellness Center has different opportunities and resources that align with our three-pronged approach and our mind-body character initiative. The link provided here goes directly to our character prong. It includes different considerations for our character programming, such as teaming up for character, and the 2 student-based groups that student athletes can get involved in, such as the National ASA, or Association of Student Athletes, and the CSA, or the Council for Student Athletes, that also includes various administrators. Here's an example of the Student Athlete Pledge. As discussed previously, it's a statement of acceptance of the 5 core values: integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. Institutions can ask their student athletes to read through the pledge and sign it, acknowledging those 5 core values. You're more than welcome to adopt the statement as is, or you can utilize it as a template to create your own statement that includes meaningful contributions to the values that you hold at the campus level or within the athletic department. Having your student athletes sign this pledge fits criteria directly on the scorecard and thus can be used there as well. Our Student Athlete Wellness Center has different web pages for the different prongs within the initiative. This is character at the core. As you see, it can link you to different considerations for our character programming. It helps us to change the culture of sport through athletics, through those 5 elements of our 5 core values. The ASA has various objectives. While it would be extremely difficult to list them all, we've prioritized these: to serve as the voice of all NAIA student athletes in the NAIA's governance, to provide a platform for student athletes to discuss issues of concern, offer feedback to NAIA membership, and propose legislation or policy changes as appropriate, and offer its members the opportunity to develop their leadership skills as they represent and empower all NAIA student athletes. We know that as long as we maintain these objectives, we can offer a well-rounded and beneficial experience to the ASA representatives. We've created a policy handbook for the ASA. Each representative, both new and returning, receives this handbook at the beginning of each cycle. Within this 5-page document, there are 9 different topics of consideration. Not all of these would be relevant to a campus-level ASA, but some that could be beneficial for you to take a look into would be how we consider membership, how we select our representatives, how we elect our officers, and consider having representation on different councils and committees, the responsibilities of those officers, and then different considerations for if someone would need to roll off before their term is done. And then also how you want to set your business meetings and calls to have quality engagement within the group. One important consideration is the potential structure of your campus level ASA. Our current national ASA is structured with an executive board within their representatives. This board consists of a chair, a vice chair, a second vice chair, and a secretary. Traditionally, we reserve both chair and vice chair for members who have been included and are returning members so that they've had experience within the group from the past. And then second vice chair and secretary have often been new members who are wanting to have an immediate role of leadership within the group as well. This creates an effective decision-making board to assist advisors or other committees that this group is involved in. Representatives as a whole should be a picture of how your athletic department is constructed. So you would have sports-specific representatives. You could have at-large members for any considerations of groups that may be joining your athletic department in the future or sports you might be wanting to add. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is extremely important to make sure that you have wide representation across what your student body looks like for this group as well. And then always making sure that this is a reflection of your institutional values and that these representatives can bring that to the table as well to make meaningful decisions for student athletes on your campus. Other presentations were given in regards to our character focus: community service, professional preparation, and campus collaboration. Community service is especially important for the campus level ASA because it can provide opportunities for ASA specific partnerships. A great example of this is how the National ASA has partnered with Special Olympics. There are so many different opportunities for access to this relationship across the United States, not only because of how our institutions and our membership is laid out, but also the regions in which Special Olympics offers different groups. This is an opportunity for our character programming in action, and it can really foster relationships directly within the community that your institution is in. Professional preparation is a great continuation of the NAIA student-athlete experience. It makes sure that we're maintaining these relationships once our student-athletes become potential employees or employers, and they continue to move along in their different stages of life. Campus collaboration is athletics beyond the athletic department. This is a great area for DE&I as well, because you can start to consider the different roles that your student-athletes hold on campus and the other areas that they may want to bring these considerations into or back to the group as well. As always, you're not alone in how you want to move your character-based initiatives forward, and you'll have these character-based teammates, both in the national office with myself, KK Kostelik, as our coordinator of student-athlete health and wellness, but also our director, Robert Grime. On campus, you'll have your Champions of Character liaison, if that's not already you or someone else who wants to get involved in your character-based programming, along with your athletic director. And at the conference level, you'll have your conference commissioner. They are important pieces of access in allowing your student athletes to get involved both at the conference level and then potentially at the national level as well. If you have any questions at any time, these are great individuals to direct those questions to.
Each of today's presenters have listed their contact information on this slide, should you want to reach out and discuss in depth how you can implement a program similar to the ones presented. You will also receive a one-page handout about each presentation.